Hi friends, this is Sushil here and welcome back to our channel. We have another video today which is about the new IPO that is coming into the market, which is the Indian Railway Finance Corporation Limited, the finance arm of Ministry of Railways. Okay, so we will discuss about the history of the company, what is the business model that is being followed by the company, how does the financials look like, the pros and the cons of the company, what is there in the IPO details, and finally, we will get to know should we subscribe to this particular IPO or not. So let's get started by knowing the history of the company. Why was this company formed? Have you thought about why a government will have their own NBFC in place if they can take money from banks, right? So there is a norms with RBI which says that apart from the Ministry of Finance, none of the other ministries have the right to take money from the banks or any other private firm. So in 1986, Ministry of Railways, what they decided is that they will create a government NBFC which will help them to get amount from the domestic and international market. So that's when the government NBFC IRFC was formed. So what is the business model for this particular IRFC company? IRFC has the major part in the capex operation of Ministry of Railways. So the railways gets their main amount from the budget. So as part of the railway budget, government allots a specific amount for railways for their infrastructure and the capex requirements. But it never meets their requirement, and they have to go to IRFC to get more amount. So this is where the IRFC comes to picture. So for their any activity, for example, it's whether it is manufacturing of coaches, rails, locomotives, passenger needs, or electrification of a new route, or maybe modernization of the railways. So for any activity which is like the railway, they need money which might not be sufficient from the amount that is allotted in the budget. So that in place, so what happens is like they'll just go to IRFC and they will ask for more money. So here IRFC will give them the money, which in turn is coming back from the government of India. Okay, so what here happens like railways will go to IRFC, they will take the amount from IRFC and they will use it for their capex. Okay, based on whatever profit they are receiving, they will send it to the government, right? Because it's a government company, railways, and government will be receiving all the payments and profits, everything from the railways. So whatever money IRFC has lended to railways, it's not given back by the railways, but instead it is coming back from the government of India to IRFC. Okay, so in this business model, the risk is almost zero. So we can say that it's a risk-free model because they are giving the money to railway and it in turn will definitely come back from the government of India. So if they're giving 100 rupees, 100 plus the interest will come back from the government of India. Okay, so that's one of the plus point in this particular business model. So when I said the interest that they're coming back, right? So normally compared to the other private players, the NBFCs that we have in market, for example, the market leader Bajaj Finance, they have a very good interest margin because they are investing in high risk models. And obviously, when we invest in high risk models, their interest margin also will be high, and plus their profit also will be high. But in case of this IRFC, the net interest margin is 1.5%, which is almost very less compared to the other private players. So, but I said this is a risk-free model, and when with the risk-free model, we have to sacrifice one or the other point. So in this case, since it's a risk-free model and they don't have any NPA, that is non-performing asset, they don't have any non-performing asset, and in such case, their profit or the net interest margin is 1.5, which comparatively, when we see that, okay, since being a risk-free model, this is a very good number. Okay, it's not just the railways they offer their support of funding. Okay, what they say is like any project that supports railways to gain prosperity or to increase the business of railways. For example, maybe it's a construction of a port which is related to railways because railway might be connected to that particular port and that port has to develop. So they are also lending to some projects which are directly related to the railways. For example, if it's a port or if it's a kind of a terminal which they're going to build, in such cases also IRFC will lend money to them. Okay. Adding to that, we have other entities of railways. For example, RVNL. Then we have the Konkan Railways, and other railway divisions, which are again part of railway, they lend money to them as well. So how does the financials of the company looks? Okay, so if you see here, the revenue from 2017 till 2020 September, the revenue has in 2017 was 8,013 crores. In 2018, it increased to 9,268 crores. From 2019, it is 11,133, and as it stands on March 2020, it is 13,421.00, and for the first 6 months of 2020 financial year, it is 7,384. Okay, so the CAGR for the revenue increase is around 15%. And coming to the profit after tax, from 2017, that is from 921 crores. As it stands on March 2020, the profit is 3,192 crores, and from the first 6 months of the 2020, it is 1,886 crores. Okay, so the CAGR rate for the profit increase is 50%. Okay, so numbers are talking really good about this particular company. How about the PE ratio? The PE ratio is actually 6.6 compared to the industry PE ratio of 17. So as I said, the company is a risk-free model, and hence the PE ratio is on a lower side. So 6.6 is actually for a risk-free model. 6.6 is good, but we cannot directly compare it with the PEs like private players. Okay. So my verdict for the financials is that financials of the companies are really good. What about the pros and cons, right? So first thing is like the company has a monopoly, as railway has to borrow the money from IRFC, and railway cannot go to any other firm for their financial needs. So apart from the budget allocated amount, if they need money for their capex requirements, they have to approach IRFC, and which is a kind of a monopoly here. Second point is that the financials of the companies are really good, as I showed in the previous slide, and they are very healthy, and that talks positive about the company. Third thing is that it's a government sector NBFC and has zero NPA. So as I said, whatever money they're lending to railway, it's coming back from the government together with the interest. So they have zero NPA, and that's a kind of a surprise for an NBFC company, right? So that a company doesn't have any NBFC company, or the financial company doesn't have any NPA, means it's almost like a very good positive, right? Even though the net interest margin is less. So for a value investor who doesn't want to take any much risk, I think this company is really good. Yes, the NPA is zero here. Okay. Next point is that when we look at the railways, okay, they have so many projects in pipeline. Okay, they have the high-speed corridor which is in plan. They have the more electrification work which is happening. Then they have the modernization of the railways, which is in progress. So they have so many projects in pipeline, and which in turn is a positive for IRFC, because more the projects are there for railways, it increases the chances of railway coming to IRFC for money or the capital requirement, and which in turn is definitely a plus point for IRFC. And the last point is that the risk is very less for this particular company, and that's another positive for this particular company. Okay. Now coming to the cons of this particular company, one of the biggest negative that I've seen is that it's a single client operating company. So the railway is the only client for this particular company, and which on one side can be considered as a negative, right? Because tomorrow if the government says that other NBFCs or other firms can start lending the money to railways, then it's a kind of a negative for IRFC, right? And the next point is that if there is any interruption of business, okay, for railways, for example, it happened in COVID-19, right? So most of the railways they were stopped, and there was no business for railways. It's almost nullified. So in such circumstances, IRFC's business also might get impacted indirectly. Okay, that's another negative. Third thing is a kind of a generic thing for every government company. So third thing, the point is government policies. Okay, government policies can change at any point of time. At this point of time, they say that railway has to approach IRFC for their financial needs, other than whatever money is allocated in the budget. But what if these rules change and the new policy is implemented, that more privatization happens? Then obviously this is going to have an impact on IRFC. But at this point of time, there is no clarity available about those kind of issues. But definitely we have to keep it in mind that one point of time, government will definitely go for privatization, and we have to see how that particular privatization impacts these particular policies. Okay, so that's another issue that I see here. Now going into the IPO details. Okay, so the IPO is opening on the 18th of January and will be open until 20th January. The IPO size is 4,633 crores, which includes the fresh issue as well as offer for sale. So the fresh issue is going to be for 3,088 crore, and offer for sale from government side is going to be 1,545 crore. Okay, so the lot size here is 575 shares, and the IPO price band, the lower price band is 25 and the upper price band is 26. Say a person has to apply for minimum of 575 shares, which is one lot, and the amount corresponds to 14,950, and he can apply for the maximum of 13 lots, which will have a shares of 7,475, aggregating to 1,94,350. Okay, so this is a high level details about IPO, and now we have to decide whether we should subscribe to this particular IPO or not. So I have been talking about this particular company's history and business model, and also I have talked about the financials and the pros and cons. So having gone through all the details, my summary of our discussion is that first thing is that, see, it's a government-based company. This is the first government-based NBFC that is going to list in the market. Second thing is that it has a risk-free model. Okay, so when the risk is less, obviously the returns are also less. So you have to compare that. You cannot expect an aggressive growth in this particular company. Okay. Third thing is that it is a railway for their any financial need have to approach IRFC. Okay, if they have additional capex requirements. And as I said, the NPA is zero here. So any money they lend to railway will come back from government, and in case of any loss of asset from railway side or money they lost, railway will take the responsibility. Railway will take the responsibility, and they will consider the loss as railway's loss, and this particular IRSC is saved, and they will not be able they will not be able to allow to take that burden. So it is a risk-free model actually. Okay, so any issue comes, that railway will take it on their side. So having said that, I would say that this is a company for people who are looking for average returns, who are not looking for a huge risk, and they would just want to go with the normal returns, and for them it's a good company. Okay, considering that there is a monopoly at this point of time. But as I said, that we have to look at the prospects of how this particular privatization will impact this particular company. But at this point of time, this company doesn't have any issues. The financials are really good, and for an investor, they can definitely go for subscription of this particular IPO and keep it long term until the fundamentals or the government policies changes. Okay, so we have to keep that in mind. So in that sense, you can subscribe to this particular IPO, and I don't expect a huge listing gain. Okay, the current gray market price for this particular IPO is around 1.2 as of today, and maybe it will increase based on the subscription, but I don't expect a huge listing gain. And people who are looking for listing gain, they may not apply for this particular IPO, but who are looking for long-term perspective and they want to keep a risk-free stock in their particular portfolio, they can definitely apply for this particular IPO. Okay, so I hope this particular short video was helpful for you to understand about this particular IRFC company and the IPO. I hope you share this particular video with your friends, and also subscribe to the channel. Please recommend this channel also to your friends so that they are getting benefited. And until we meet again with another video, thank you so much and happy investing.